Hey guys, it's Georgia, and in this video, I'm going to talk about several different lenses you can add on to your Canon EOS M, and they all cost under $100 bucks.
Oh my God!
So these are just a few lenses that I've picked up, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each of them that I've noticed. So one thing you want to remember to do if you're going to be adapting lenses to this camera is to go into your menu, and you'll see you want to go to the fourth wrench here, click that, and then go to custom functions, which I've already got selected, and then you want to go to custom function number 7, and it's called the release shutter without lens, and you just have to click through them to get to it, and you want to click enable, and be sure to include that setting, and then just set OK. And that should be it, and restart it. So let's start with these vintage Canon FD lenses. I picked up a cheap adapter off of eBay, and they attach to the camera with no problem. I've got a 50mm 1.4 and a 28mm 2.8. Out of all the lenses I was researching, these two seem to keep popping up for people's recommendations. The great thing about the 50 is that it has a really low aperture, and the great thing I've noticed about the 28 is it's very sharp. What I've noticed with some of these FD lenses is that the wider you open the aperture, the sharpness decreases, and that happens around when you go wider than 2.8 or 2.0. So with the 28mm, you're just not gonna have that problem. The 50mm, yes, but you do get a wider aperture that makes it great for low light situations. So next I'm going to show you this Fujian 35mm lens. The aperture goes to 1.7, and you can find it on eBay for about $28. It's a C-mount lens, and it comes with an adapter to put it on the EF-M. For its size and price, it's a very sharp lens. However, you will notice that there's a little bit of vignetting around the edges. Some people have pointed this out to me as well. I thought it would be much worse than it was, and it didn't bother me. But otherwise, it's a really nice lens, produces very smooth image quality, if you will.
So this is the Fujian 35mm, and the aperture ring is really smooth, so I can crank it up seamlessly. And now it's super overexposed, but I can turn it down, and even the blades pretty much close all the way. So I'm going to turn it back up, fix that exposure. That's about right, maybe a little less there. Now if I tilt up, you'll see this looks really exposed, so I can just darken it a bit more.
So now that we've talked about some non-Canon lenses, let's go into the one native EF-M that I do have, which is the 18-55 kit lens. It's pretty standard. Whatever issues you tend to have with your other kit lenses, this one has all of those. I think the image quality looks just fine. The limited aperture is not a big deal, it's to be expected. There are two other lenses I can talk about that are Canon EF-M, however, they are over $100, and that's the 22mm and the 15-45mm lenses. I've heard really good things about them, both from people who commented on the last video and from other YouTube videos you can find of people giving reviews. So I recommend having at least one native EF-M lens because, side note, I thought I had an issue with using the adapted lenses because the video kept flickering, but thankfully it was just the playback on my computer because Premiere Pro is just wearing it out. But when I played it back on a different computer, it was all fine. So ultimately, all of these lenses work perfectly with this camera. You don't have the issue of flickering, just make sure they're in nice and tight, and you're good to go. So let's say I decide to just use the two Canon FD lenses and the adapter. I now have a very basic camera setup for $282. That's still way cheaper than buying a used DSLR. And with this, you can just run out and start shooting. Anyway guys, hope this helped you out in some way. In the next video, I'll be talking about some bare bones accessories you can add on and push this setup just a little bit further. But until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.